Okay. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining in. This is your instructor, Rahul, and I'll be taking all your Selenium sessions. So before we get started, I really want to make the session, interactive. So I want that everyone should participate, and it's not like for the whole 2 hours I'll be talking. So I want that you should be asking a lot of questions, and let's make it a very interactive session so that we should not feel it like we are taking an online session. We should feel that we are sitting in a classroom and taking a one-to-one session. So that is how interactive we need to make it. So today in the session, we have a mixed audience. So there are some people who are already enrolled and if have completed their core Java training and now getting started with Selenium part. There are some people who have recently joined and have not attended any batch, and they're starting from the day one of Selenium, right? So we're going to start everything from scratch. So today is just like an introductory session. From next weekend, this batch is going to be divided into two parts. One is core Java, and the people who have recently joined will be starting from the core Java, from the day one of core Java. And people who have completed the Java part will going to remain in the same batch and will be continuing with their Selenium sessions. So for the Selenium part, we have already created the WhatsApp group. So you will be remain in the same group. And for core Java, there will be a new WhatsApp group that will be created by next week, and I'll be sharing it over your email IDs. Right. So before we get started, do you have any questions? Anything that you want to discuss before we get started with the training? Anything?
Rahul, I want to confirm how many days that class will get over? In how many weeks?
So this is going to take at least 3.5 months. Every Saturday and Sunday, the classes will be around 3.5 months and 2 hours each session, Saturday and Sunday. So in
Java,
this,
with Java or
no,
only
this
Selenium?
is the complete Selenium with Java. So out of this, around 6 weekends will be your Java part, and around 7 weekends will be Selenium. So this is how it is going to work.
So next week onwards, timing will be 8 to 8.
Timings will be constant for this batch. It will be 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. IST, both for Selenium and Java. So Java is taken by a different instructor, and Selenium I myself will gonna take. So you'll be first getting the complete Java training, and then you'll be moving to the Selenium batch. So Java is taken by Mr. Ajay. So he is here with Way to Automation from over 4 years now. He has already taken so many core Java batches, and he's already working as an automation lead. So for Selenium, I myself will be covering all the Selenium part, including your live projects, frameworks, end-to-end framework designing will be done from scratch. And if you talk about my background, I'm into this industry from over 14, 15 years now. And I am majorly into automation. I used to work as a test manager with one of the company in Gurgaon. Now I'm completely into trainings. I own this Way to Automation. So I am also a corporate training. I've delivered many trainings in NCR, in Bangalore, in Mumbai, even in New York to a company called as Shutterstock.com, in Seattle to Spoken Communications. So I have worked on various automation tools like Selenium, APM, QTP, and even Cypress, Protractor, and then Rest Assured. So many automation tools, frameworks I've worked on. I've worked on multiple languages like Java, Python, C#, and even JavaScript. So but my major experience is around this automation thing itself. So I started Selenium when there was a very first version of Selenium 1.0 was there, right? So that's pretty much about my background. And I hope most of you are from testing background and even from development as well. So basically, Selenium, although there is no dependency of testing, that if you are from testing background, then only you can work on Selenium, or before you start with Selenium, you have to be very good in manual testing. It's nothing like that. There are many developers as well who move from development to automation, and they start with Selenium, and they do very good in Selenium because they're already from a programming background. There are many people who directly start Selenium without even learning manual. So there is no dependency. Manual is just a theoretical concept. It's better that we should be knowing the manual testing concepts as well before we are getting started with automation. But it is not like a mandatory rule that you should first start with manual and then move on to Selenium automation. Selenium has no dependency on the manual concepts. But yes, knowing basic concepts like how to write test cases, test plan, and what are test suites, all these things, all the terminologies used in SDLC cycle, SDLC cycle, this should be clear to you before you're getting started with automation.
Right? Hi, Atul, Shali here.
Yes.
I want to add that actually I'm not from IT background and not done manual also. Today is my first class. This is fine.
That's fine. That's fine. So today is going to be an introductory session about Selenium. We are not going to touch a very in-depth programming part, right? It's nothing like you should not be able to understand. We'll be covering everything from basics. And if you are very new to the programming industry, then we are going to start the programming part from scratch. And in order to work on Selenium, your basic programming concept should be clear. Only the basic is required. There is nothing like you need to get in depth into the advanced programming. Like if we talk about Java, only the core Java part is required. And core Java is something like if you have ever studied any programming like C, C++ during your schooling time or graduation time. So that level of basic concepts are required to work on Selenium. But don't worry, we'll be starting everything from scratch. So after today's session, you should be able to understand that what level of programming that will be needing to work on Selenium. Okay, so Ankur has a question. Which language, Java or Python, setting up the new automation team? See, 70% of the industry, you will see that they are still using Selenium with Java because majorly integrations are easily possible when you're working with Java. But yes, same thing can be done in Python as well. So Python is also increasing day by day due to machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these things using Python itself. But if your base is already developed using Selenium Java, then Python, you can switch on to Python within, like you can say on a matter of 2 weeks, you should be able to switch your code to from Java to Python. So first you are starting with Java, and then if you learn Python, it will be very easy. But first, if you start with Python and then you think of learning Java, then you'll feel it little complex. This is because if we are writing code in Java, then 10 lines of code can be written in just 2 lines in Python, right? So if you started with a easy stuff first, then you'll find Java little complex. But trust me, Java, whatever that we are going to study, is a very basic programming language. It's a very basic concepts that we are going to study. We are not going to go in depth into the advanced Java part. We are not developing anything. There is a library which is already developed by someone, and we have to use that library. So we just need to understand basic concepts in order to use or consume that library. Right? Okay, any more questions? Anyone? Great, thanks. Yeah. So you can ask any questions that you have. Don't worry about it. Just feel it like you're sitting in a classroom asking questions. So let me.
I will have a question.
Yeah, Atul.
Yeah, is there any linkage of Selenium tool with Rest Assured?
See, REST assured is a different library and Selenium is a different library. Selenium is for UI automation as in the website part. So like when we do manual testing, we first test the front end. So front end testing, the UI part is tested through Selenium. And then if we talk about REST assured is for API automation. So the backend testing is actually done by REST assured. So there are some manual testing tools as well for testing the APIs, which you might have used or might have heard about, which is called as Postman. So Postman is for manual testing and REST assured is for automation. So, but yes, both can be integrated in same project.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Yes, Shweta.
in Selenium, now we do only UI testing.
Yes, Selenium is for functional UI automation only.
Functional UI. Okay, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
And what about non-functional?
See, non-functional, there are various APIs as well available. There are some tools like if we talk about open source tools, we have JMeter for performance testing,
Correct.
right? So, but yes, Selenium is only and only for UI and the functional testing only.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, sir. Like for Java installing and all, you will be giving the instruction on.
Yes, we'll be doing that today as well.
Okay.
So I'll give you the basic configuration today so that at least you can get started with Selenium on your own as well after today's session.
Okay. And if you missed out any class, that link will be coming to our email, like all
Absolutely. So like in case you are already enrolled, then you must have access to this complete video library. So all these courses you should be able to access. And then if we talk about the live sessions of Selenium, that will be uploaded over here. So you just need to go to your course and click on My Courses. Should be able to see all these 30 plus courses. And when you go to a particular course, let's say, just give me that moment. Yeah. So here you should you should be able to see previous batch recordings as well. And when you go down at the very bottom of this page, so this was like batch Jan 2023, which is done with the core Java sessions. And now they're getting started with Selenium. And the new batch will be added after this. So it will be like batch Feb 2023. So you should be able to see all the recordings down from here.
Okay, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all the courses, different automation tools, which are mostly in demand in the industry, including the API automation, mobile automation, even the DevOps, which is highly recommended for automation test engineers to know the DevOps concepts. So all these courses are already there with you. In case you're already enrolled, you should have access to all these courses. So all these are detailed training on various automation tools, right? Okay, so this is going to be the syllabus that we are going to cover. So today we will be discussing about the brief on Selenium history, and we'll be getting started with Selenium. Then there will be a detailed learning on core Java. So all the core Java concepts up till collections, file handling, exception handling, all the OOPS concepts, all these things will be covered. And then once you move to the Selenium part, we'll be covering latest Selenium 4 itself. So all major topics from basics till advanced level in Selenium will be covered. All major locators like XPath, CSS, ID, name, all these strategies for finding dynamic element, complex elements. All these things will be covered from the scratch so that you'll be capable enough. You can automate any website, any complex website on your own easily. So all these strategies related to synchronization, all these things. So I'll be sharing you this syllabus. You can go through in detail of this syllabus. And then there are some new features in Selenium 4 related to the CDP, Chrome DevTool protocol features. We are going to cover these things. Then we'll be exploring some TestNG framework and a lot of integrations like database, some reporting part. And there are so many things which we're going to discuss in today's session. Then you'll be getting familiar with what exactly POI is, what is Docker, Maven, and we'll be doing some integration with cloud. So these are some of the DevOps tools like AWS, Jenkins, Dockers. We are going to integrate these tools in our Selenium project. And then we'll be building up two projects from scratch. One is your data-driven plus keyword-driven, which we're going to call it as a hybrid framework. And then we are going to cover page object model with the page factory, which is very widely used in the industry. 90% of the companies are using page objects itself. So these are the two projects we are going to cover in the live session. Plus, addition to this, once we are done with the Selenium course, and if you want to practice more on the framework designing part, then there is a very unique course which is available for you, which is called as Automation Architect Selenium with 7 live projects. So the prerequisite to do this course is that you should be very good in Selenium and you should be very good in handling basic frameworks. And after that, you can learn these 7 detailed live projects. So these are end-to-end frameworks. Once you are done with these 7 frameworks, there is nothing in the interview related to Selenium or the framework designing concepts that you cannot handle, right? So these are very, very detailed 7 live projects. You're going to get so much confidence after doing these 7 projects, right? Okay, so BDD, see, everything cannot be covered in one single training. So after this, normally, once you are done with UI automation, you go for the API automation part. So Cucumber BDD, we have with the API automation sessions. Now, Cucumber BDD is just a framework. It remains same for UI automation and it remains same for API automation. So the detailed framework you'll be learning in your API automation sessions related to Cucumber BDD. But you have this course available with you where I have covered the complete Selenium integration with Cucumber BDD, right? So you can walk through this course and can learn about the Cucumber basics and integration with all the frameworks, reporting, and then Selenium WebDriver. So complete thing is already available. So this framework is already there for you. We'll be learning Selenium 4. We are not going to learn Selenium 3. Right? We'll be working with the latest Selenium only. Okay. Any more questions? Guys, instead of directly messaging to me, you should select an option, message to everyone so that everyone should be able to see what all questions being asked. Right? Otherwise, they'll not be able to participate.
Rahul, I have just one question. So are you covering the live session classes for these Cucumber BDD and REST?
See, Cucumber BDD, rest assured, are going to cover in the live sessions, but it is going to cover in the API automation. So since you are enrolled, please put yourself on mute. There is a background noise coming.
Hello, Rahul. I have one question. Can I ask?
Yeah, just 1 second, Priya. Let me answer that question. So I was saying that since you guys are enrolled for the lifetime membership, so you can attend all the trainings that we conduct. So after learning Selenium, when you go for the API automation, or let's say we are planning to start the API automation next month itself, and that will be at the different timings. Let's say Selenium is at 8 p.m. IST, so API automation will be around 6 p.m. IST. So you can parallelly attend that API automation course, and in that, we are going to cover the complete Cucumber BDD framework. And that framework will remain same for Selenium. Right. Yeah, sure, Priya.
Rahul, actually, I want to ask, like in UI, okay, when we testing actually manually in any project, so we have load of the form, load of the description, and load something. So, like, suppose actually if we forgot some spelling mistake or something in the application and somewhere, so how we can test actually? Is this any particular tool to test spelling also?
No, I mean, you have to record all these steps in automation. Record as in you need to write a code. We'll not be using any record in place stuff. You have to write some code to automate that scenario first. You may forget it like like while doing manual testing, you may gonna forget some steps. But if those steps are already written, the code for those steps are already written in Selenium, then when you are running your test suite is never going to forget any steps.
Okay. So for manual, we do not have any tool to run that application and understand like there is any spelling mistake or
Manual is like we ourselves is testing the application, right? We ourselves is like running the test cases from Excel. I mean, normally you may have some like test management tool where you may have written your test cases, or 90% I've seen companies, they maintain Excel sheets for writing the test cases. So all the scenarios are already written manually in those Excel sheets. And when you are testing any application, you'll be following your test cases from the Excel sheet and gonna mark it pass and fail. So there, if you have already covered that scenario that you have to check all the typo errors, then you're not gonna forget it. But yes, this is something like we human are testing it. So we may gonna forget running some of the tests, but if we talk about automation is never going to forget any steps. That is what the advantage of automation is.
okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
So actually, I was working as a QA engineer, a manual tester. So if I add my skills after completing the course, if I added my skills in the resume, so will it work for me? Like, will I get a job for the automation tester?
See, absolutely. If we talk about the current industry, demand of, if we talk about Selenium, as I said, it comes like it is only for UI automation. And Selenium is something which is like a base you are building up for automation. So whenever anyone enters into automation, the very first thing they learn is the UI automation part. That is majorly through Selenium only.
Okay.
But there was a time, if we go 5 years back, if you know a little bit on Selenium, then getting a job or switching into automation was a very easy stuff, right? But now every third person knows Selenium, right? Now the competition has grown so much. So now if you even look for the automation openings in different job portals like Indeed or Naukri.com, you'll find that the combination of UI plus API is what a big demand in the industry. So whatever that we are learning in the course for Selenium, you should be able to justify at least 2-3 years of your experience. Like if you are into manual testing and if you have more than like 2-3 years of experience, you can convert that experience into automation completely, at least for the Selenium part. So you can tell them from past 2 years, you are working in automation, and they are not going to go to your company and going to check whether you're working in automation or you're working in manual. Just your knowledge is going to talk about that thing, right? So we'll be talking about all the concepts, like how you're going to build your resume, how stuff all the keywords related to automation in your existing projects. Maybe you have written some added some manual testing projects in your resume, so you can convert that into automation so that it looks like that you're already using Selenium in your project. So these are some of the things that we'll gonna have discussion about. And yes, if you add another layer of API automation with UI automation, then it will be an added advantage for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And Rahul, as you said, next month API automation is going to start. So will that include Java programming also?
No, that is what I mean. The base should be clear for rest assured. Base as in, if you are already done with UI automation, that is good. Or else at least the Java part must be clear.
Okay.
So if you know Java, then only you can work on the rest assured part. So Java, we are starting from next week. So till the time the rest assured starts, you should have some sessions of core Java done.
Okay, that will be sufficient.
Yes, at least to get started, because even if
Mhm.
we are starting with API automation, first thing we'll be learning is Postman. First, we'll be understanding the basic concepts of what web services are, how to hit those web services, how to get the response. So first, we'll be doing the manual testing around that. And that thing for, let's say, 5 to 6 sessions will be done using Postman, where
Okay.
no programming is required. Right? Until that time, your core Java will be done. And then you'll be starting with Rest Assured and Selenium parallel. So you
Okay,
can
thank you.
say within 3.5 months, you should be done with both UI and API automation. And if you thoroughly practice these concepts, then you should be able to put all these things in your resume.
Yes, yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, one more question I'm having. Actually, I'm a QA manual tester. So, like in my company, like there are automation testers are there, and I have seen like our lectures on like Eclipse. So when I was practicing, like it was easy for me. But in my company, they use Intel IJ.
Yeah, IntelliJ they might be using. See, there are some companies who are using IntelliJ, but these are just editors. I mean, your Java concepts, adding libraries, 90% of the part remains same. Just that you need to get yourself more comfortable with that IDE. That's it.
Yeah, so like when I was using that on like companies, so like it was very confused like how it works. So like my question was like for the Selenium, which application we will use? Like
See, we are in the training, we are going to use Eclipse only because 70-80% of the people are still using Eclipse. But yes, I mean, if you get like any doubt around IntelliJ, then you can let me know. I'll try to troubleshoot it for you, and then we'll let you know the solution.
like my point is like I have seen like so many lectures of Selenium. They all are in like Eclipse. If you'll take in Intel IJ, then it will come like something new application. If any
See, I can add I can add one lecture for IntelliJ, but not the entire one, because there are many companies who are using Eclipse, and if we start directly with IntelliJ, then it will be completely different for other people. So
yeah.
for sessions, we are going to use Eclipse only, right? Because we need to use the tool which is widely used. And then, as I said, IntelliJ or different IDs are available. Those are just IDs. You just need to import your project in the IDs, and just you need to use some additional features of that ID. Rest, if we talk about the coding part, coding is not dependent on what ID you are using. Right? Core Java concepts will remain same in Eclipse and will remain same in IntelliJ and any editor that you are going to use.
Yes, because like I asked my colleagues, like we are not using Eclipse or what. So telling me like Eclipse is very easy.
Yeah, Eclipse is easy. And even if you talk about IntelliJ, there are some additional features in IntelliJ. You just need to work around IntelliJ for, let's say, 4 or 5 days, and you're going to get comfortable with those features. But IntelliJ Eclipse, they have no dependency on the Selenium part or the Java part.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Only application is like different features they are having, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll see in Eclipse only. If I have any questions, then I'll ask you to add one session for me. Okay?
All right, sure. So,
Is it Rahul
API, once the batch is formed, we will be sending out the meeting invites. You'll be receiving those meeting invites to your email ID, to your registered email ID itself. Like chatbots, any UI part can be automated, but yes, there could be some limitations as well related to some like chatbot where might be some backend integrations are done. So it cannot be completely automated using Selenium, but yes, if we integrate the API automation part with Selenium, so getting the response can be done using the API automation as well. So it completely depends on what sort of project that you are using. IntelliJ has got a community edition as well as the paid version as well. We are going to use Java for REST. REST assured is Java library. For Python, there is a different library available, a request library available. If you look at your courses over here, we have conducted one training sometime back for API automation using Python as well. So you can even refer this particular course. It has got a detailed training on like API automation using Python. And then there is a Django framework, which is also covered, which is majorly for the API part. Right. Okay. So I guess now we can get started with our basic agenda of the day. That is to cover the introduction and the configuration of Selenium, right? And if you have more questions, then in between we can take those questions, or we can keep the questions for the last 15 minutes of the training. We can keep the question, right? But in between, whatever topic that we are going to cover, in case you have any questions, queries between that topic, then you can ask it there and then itself. Right. Okay, so let's get started with Selenium. So very first question comes is, what exactly is Selenium? Anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know.
Selenium is basically a tool.
Selenium is a tool for what?
For automation testing.
So we can say Selenium is an automation testing tool. Tool for what? For automation testing of what?
For testing the
UI application.
Yeah.
UI for right. It's a framework, the automation testing tool, or we can call it as a framework. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anyone?
Script.
Hi Rahul, this is Nilesh Rawal. Selenium is basically the API, so which we can use in our automated our browser.
It's an API for browser-based testing.
Yes,
right?
we can use that whatever the functions available in that browsers in our web application that we can automate.
Okay. Anything more for Selenium?
It is an open source tool.
Great. This is an open source. Open source means there is no license required to work with Selenium, right? It's completely free of cost. You need not to pay any license to work on Selenium. Like if we talk about other tools which are like competitor of Selenium, you must have heard about QTP, UFT, which is the biggest competitor of Selenium. And there was a time when, like if we talk about automation, then the very first tool that comes into our mind was QTP, right? And there were so many openings around QTP. Companies were using, in automation, companies were using QTP like anything. But since the time Selenium comes into the market, QTP market had a huge downfall. And if you search for automation openings these days, then you'll hardly going to find openings around QTP, UFT. The major reason could be cost, but cost is not the only reason. This is true that QTP is a license-based tool. A company has to pay a heavy license in order to get the QTP, heavy cost in order to get the QTP license. But same thing can be automated using Selenium without paying any license, without paying any cost. But we can test only and only web-based applications. So if we talk about what sort of applications can we test, we have web-based applications, right? Any other application apart from web-based that you know?
Mobile-based applications.
Mobile applications. Desktop applications. Right? Database application, mainframe database, Android, iOS are the part of mobile, right? Anything else where we perform testing? ERP, again, could be like a UI, right? That is again on the UI. Apart from UI, mobile, desktop, database, there is another major area. Cloud platform is again a UI, a web-based. API, exactly. So API as in the web services. Web services or the APIs, right? API like REST, SOAP. SOAP is almost out of the market now. Majorly what used are RESTful APIs. So these are the areas where we generally perform testing. We do manual testing around these areas as well as we do automation around these areas, right? So for Selenium, as we talk about Selenium, Selenium comes over here. Whereas if we talk about QTP or UFT, UFT can automate web-based application, UFT can automate desktop-based applications as well. But Selenium cannot automate desktop applications, right? Mobile applications, even Selenium cannot automate mobile application. Have you heard about any automation tool for mobile applications?
APM.
APM is very widely used for mobile automation. And this is also open source, no license required. Anything for database like SQL, MySQL, MongoDB, right? So all these are like where you can write SQL queries and you can test these applications as well. Web services, we just discussed. We have Postman.
Rest assured.
For Postman, this is for manual testing of the APIs. For automation, we have Rest Assured, we have Ready API, right? All these things are for automation, right? But Selenium is only for web-based testing.
And about Playwright, that is for web only.
Playwright is also for web-based testing, okay. Right? Playwright. So which company came up with Playwright? Microsoft, correct. So this is by Microsoft. And this is recently introduced, right? In order to give competition to Selenium. But Selenium is there in industry since 2006. Long time back, right? Microsoft Playwright is recently introduced, like 2-3 years back itself. But again, if you talk about Selenium, see, Selenium is only for web-based application testing. Then why Selenium is popular? Very, very popular. Why not other automation tools? Why, if we talk about automation, we are getting into automation. Even if we look for any manual testing opening these days, there is a prerequisite that you should know Selenium. Why only Selenium? Why Selenium is very popular?
Because it is open source and also
open source as well as larger community. Yeah.
Yes, it has got a huge community support, right? No license required to work with Selenium. But again, Selenium is only for web-based. Why not other, why not any desktop application tool is very popular? Why web-based application tool is very popular?
Its integration with other framework is easy, like with TestNG, we can.
If we talk about softwares developed these days, do you see desktop applications developing more or web-based application developing more?
Web-based applications.
Right? It's a time of cloud computing. Everything is on web, right? All major applications are on web because web-based application can be accessed from any part of the world. You'll hardly find desktop-based applications. Even if you're doing manual testing, you might be majorly testing the web-based applications itself. And Selenium is one of the tools that can automate any type of web-based application. without paying any license. So that is the reason. Why? Because the base is web testing itself, web-based testing itself, right? And Selenium can automate any web-based application. So that is the reason why Selenium is very popular. Prior to Selenium, QTP was very popular, but company has to pay license for it. Now, same functionality Selenium is giving, just that it is not automating desktop, it is automating web-based applications. But there are some libraries available for desktop automation as well, which you can integrate with Selenium as well. Something which is called as WinApp driver. This is also generated from Selenium itself, right? If you integrate this library with Selenium, you can automate desktop part. What is APM? APM is nothing. It's a wrapper over Selenium WebDriver. APM is generated from Selenium itself. So in the same project, you can use Selenium, you can use APM, you can use WinApp you can use database, you can automate the database part as well using something called as JDBC, ODBC connectivity, and you can even use REST assured in the same project. So now you can create one single project and you can automate all these parts in one single project. This is what the beauty of using Selenium, which was not feasible when QTP UFT was there. Why? Because the very first thing about Selenium, it is not a tool. Selenium is not a tool. Not a tool means you cannot see Selenium. Like if we talk about QTP UFT, it is a tool. You get a exe, you get a setup file. You double click on it, it gets installed on your machine. It provides you a platform where you can do something like record and play. You can do scripting. You can use multiple features of that tool. But if we talk about Selenium, we cannot install Selenium. We don't get any exe file. We don't get any setup file. Selenium is not a tool. It is just a framework, or we can call it as a collection of libraries, or we can call it as an API. So we generally call Selenium as an API. Now, what exactly is an API? Can anyone tell me what is an API? Don't just relate it with web services. These are also APIs. We get APIs in database as well. We get APIs in mobile as well. We get APIs in web-based applications as well. So API is a huge term. But what exactly is an API? So it's very important to understand before we get started with Selenium. So what is an API?
API is just an application programming interface. It's work to database and UI. It's a between to reach database and UI.
Okay, so you're saying it is in order to build up a communication between database and the UI. So yeah. Database you may be treating as a backend over here.
Okay.
Right. So you are integrating backend with the front end, and for that there is something used which is called as an API. That is also correct, but in a wider term, API is basically a library which you use in order to build up a communication between two programs.
Client and server.
Right. It could be client and server. It could be two programs as well.
Okay.
Right. It could be two functionalities as well. So let's take a practical example before we jump onto in depth of API. So let's say I'm a Java developer. Let's say I am working as a Java developer with some XYZ.com company, right? And this company deals with some banking domain. So banking domain, as in, let's say they have their website which they are building. You can call it as Citibank website. Now, if we talk about any bank, so what all functionalities a bank can provide? We can add money, right? We can, if we open up account, we add money, we open account, right? We can withdraw money. Just give me a minute. We can withdraw money. right? We can check balance. A lot of functionalities are there, right? But as a Java developer, if I have to develop these functionalities for an end user, so how I am going to do that? Like I'll be writing some Java code for it. In order to write Java code, what I'll be doing, I'll be creating some class. Let's say I create a class with the name as Citibank. Now, I hope everyone understand, even for the new people who have recently joined, everyone must understand what a class is. Just like theoretically. I'm not talking about that you're practically created class or you're coming from a programming background, but at least everyone have ever studied basic C, C++, must be knowing there is something called as a class, there is something called as a function, right? Is there anyone who have never ever touched any programming part? Okay, so I can take it like everyone have must studied basic concepts even during your schooling time, but now you may have forgot it, right? That's fine if you have forgot it. We are going to brush up those concepts completely again. But for today's session, in order to make you understand what exactly Selenium is, what exactly we are going to configure, for that, I'll be writing a little bit of code. Don't worry about it if you are unable to understand the coding part. Just try to understand the concept and just try to see what level of coding that will be used. Right. So as a Java developer, if I have to create a project for Citibank, what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a class for Citibank and we're going to name it as Citibank. And in Citibank, I can do all these functionalities. I can do all these operations. I can open up account. I can add money. I can withdraw money. I can check my balance. So all these functionalities are going to come in a form of a function inside this class. So what all things we have in a class? Can anyone tell me what all things we do have, we have inside a class? Object, methods, variables, data type, right? So a lot of things. Class is a combination of all these things, right? So if I have to design all these functionality, first I'll be creating some functions. Functions, we call them as methods in Java, right? Function, method, both are the same thing. In Python, in JavaScript, we call these things as functions. In Java, we call them as methods. So let's say I'm going to create one method which is called as open account. And in this, I'm going to write some code. If you call this function, if you call this method, it is going to open account for you. Right? Similarly, after opening account, you might need to add some money. So there is a function, there is a method for that as well. Add money. And there is some code written inside this. If you call this add money, it is going to add some money for you. There is a method called as check balance. If you call this method, it is going to show you your balance, right? There is a method called as withdraw money. If you call this, it is going to withdraw the money from your account. So there might be some code written, might be some 100 lines of code written inside this method, right? But as a Java developer, I have to develop all these methods so that the end users, whenever he is adding some money, then this method will be called. He's opening the account, then this functionality will be called. And whatever code that I've written inside it, that particular code will be called. Now, let's say I have developed the complete functionality. Now, I want to test whether opening account is working fine, whether adding money is working fine. So what I'll do, I need to call these functions, these methods from this class. So how to call this method from this class?
Object dot
Object. So I need to create an object of Citibank class. Now, how to create object of Citibank class? Can anyone tell me what syntax should I write?
Class name.
Class name is Citibank.
Object name.
Object name. What should I write?
CB.
OBJ variable.
I could write anything, right? Even I can write ABC. That is just a variable name.
Is equal to class name.
Equal to
new Citibank.
New
Citibank.
Citibank.
Yes. This is what the syntax. This is what a syntax. The very first line we need to write while creating an object of a class, right? And how should I call this method open account? How to call it?
Call the method
Object
name.
dot.
Object dot the method name.
Dot open account.
Object dot open account. Correct. And if I run this, whatever that is written inside this open account will be executed. No matter if it is a 500 lines of code, whatever functionality that open account has to do will be executed whenever we write this. Similarly, I can call other functionalities one by one by saying obj.add money, obj.withdraw money, right? And the last method that we have is check balance. So one by one, I can call these methods and I can test whether whatever functionalities we have written is working fine or not. But in order to call these methods, the very first thing is we need to create an object of this class. Now, if I talk about this statement, what exactly is an object inside this statement?
Citibank.
Citibank? Is this an object?
Well, that one.
No. The new Citibank is the object. New Citibank is the object, which is storing the object reference. Yeah.
Okay. How about others?
OBJ is the object.
OBJ is the object. Okay.
New Citibank, Rahul.
New Citibank. Okay.
We are creating the instance of Citibank actually with the public.
Okay. Is this not an object?
That's the reference. We were storing the object in the object.
Okay. See, some people are saying OBJ is an object. Some people are saying this is a reference. Some people are saying new Citibank is an object. What exactly is an object? If we talk about this, what is this?
It's the name of class.
That's the class name.
Class name. What else we call it as?
Data type. Data type.
This is
Data type.
A type, right? You can call it as a data type. It is basically a type. And what is this?
Variable.
Reference variable.
That's the reference variable. Yeah.
Or we call it as a reference variable. Okay. And then what exactly is this? What is equal to?
Assignment
operator.
Assignment operator. Okay. And what is new?
Keyword. New is a keyword to create.
It's a keyword. Okay. And what is this?
Method.
Method?
Yeah.
It's an object.
Constructor.
Correct. And this thing combinedly creates an object. New Citibank. This creates an object in memory, right? So this is not an object. This is holding the address of an object which is created when we say new Citibank. So how this thing is done, we're going to look at it practically itself, right? Because right now we are doing everything in Notepad. So it might be a little confusing as well. Because see, there was a time when people, when the programming was actually started, everything was written in Notepad only. But nowadays, various editors are available with artificial intelligence. If you're not good in coding, these editors helps us a lot while writing code. Right? We have, let's say if there are hundreds of methods inside this class, we need not to remember all these methods. These editors, if we just put a dot, they're going to show us list of all the methods and we can easily pick it up from there. If we make any mistakes, these editors helps us a lot. So very widely used editors are Eclipse is there, IntelliJ is there, WebStorm is there, NetBeans is there, right? N number of editors are available in the industry. Some are open source, some are licensed. The one that we are going to use in the course is Eclipse. Eclipse as in Eclipse IDE, Integrated Development Environment. And this is completely open source to use. But there is a prerequisite to get started with Eclipse is that you need to have Java installed on your machine. Now, what version of Java? You should not be installing the latest version Otherwise, you're going to face a lot of integration related issues while working with Selenium. So the recommended version to use with Java is either Java 1.8 or that is Java 8 or Java 11. So I would recommend you to use Java 11 itself, but I am using 1.8 on my machine and all my programs run absolutely fine. All the integrations that I do with Selenium works absolutely fine. This is the most stable version of Java that I'm using right now. But yes, Java 11 is also good. So in case you are getting started, so download this Java. Now Java, you simply not going to go to Google and simply write download Java 11. You're not going to do it like this. What you'll be writing is you'll be saying download JDK 11. JDK stands for Java Development Kit. So you need the development kit because you'll be developing, not developing something, but you'll be writing a little bit of code as well, right? There are two components in Java that we generally get. One is JDK, another one is JRE, right? There is something called as JVM as well, but we are not going to interact with that. But JDK, JRE is Java runtime environment. JDK is Java development kit. What are these two? We need not to worry about it right now. We are going to cover all these things in the core Java sessions once we start with the Java programming. For the time being, what you need to download is JDK. When you download JDK, JRE comes along with JDK. So you need not to separately download it, right? So which version you need to download? You need to download Java 11. From here, Java is available for different operating systems, Linux, Mac, Solaris, Windows. For Windows, you will be downloading this. And this comes as an exe file. Installing Java is very, very simple. Just double click on the exe file and it gets installed. That's it. Once you install it, it generates some folders inside your program files. So here you're going to see the Java folder. If you open it, you're going to find JDK. See, I'm using 1.8 over here. So I'll be getting like JDK 1.8 and JRE 1.8. You need to look on the JDK folder itself. So if you're installing Java 11, you'll be getting the 11. Guys, please put Okay. So like when you install Java 11, you need to go inside that folder. You'll be seeing a lot of things over here. Go inside the bin folder. This is where you're going to find Java. This is your Java. Now, there are so many integrations that we'll be doing while we're working with Selenium. For all those integrations, Java is required. You must have heard about something like Jenkins is there, Maven is there, Dockers are there, a lot of integrations we have to do. And all those will not going to work if you don't have Java on your machine. So we need to configure Java somewhere globally on our machine so that any program that may need the access of Java can get it from the root location. So what we call those settings as, we call it as environment variable configuration for Java. So how to do environment variables configuration? You just need to copy the root path. That is JDK 1.8 or JDK 11, whichever that you are installing. Just copy this path and type edit in your search box. You're going to find edit the system environment variables. Click on this. And this is where you need to click on environment variable. You need not to do anything inside the user variables. You need to look into the system variables. Here, click on new and type Java_home and paste the path of JDK folder over here. So once you click on OK, you're going to find a variable created, which is holding the value of your JDK folder. Now go down and look for a global variable, which is called as path, and click on edit. you may going to see a lot of things already configured over here. And you're not going to modify or delete existing things from here because these are very, very crucial settings. Your system 32 Windows settings are also added over here. If you try to delete it, modify it, might corrupt your Windows or might stop the existing running program on your machine as well, right? So don't mess around these things. Just click on new and type %Java_home%. When you type this, this will bring this value over here, this JDK value over here. And where is Java inside JDK? It is inside the bin folder. So what you need to do, you need to give a / and say bin. That's it. This is how you configure Java globally on your machine. Like I've already done it over here. So I'm not going to redo it. Let me delete it. Once you're done with this, click on OK, click on OK, click on OK, and Java is successfully configured. Now open up command prompt and type Java-version. It should show you the current version of Java on your machine, like -1.8. That's the only configuration you need for Java, right? And this is the very first thing that is required for Eclipse as well. If Java is not configured, your Eclipse is not going to open, right? So now we'll be downloading Eclipse. So again, we're going to say download Eclipse. And we'll be going to this particular link. From here, you're not directly going to click on this setup file, right? We'll be going to download packages. There are so many components in Eclipse. If you click on download packages, you'll be able to see all these over here. See, for Java, see, Eclipse is one of the editors that supports Java, that supports C, C++, that supports Python, Ruby, JavaScript, any language you can use with Eclipse. But we are going to use basic core Java. So we'll be using this particular version of Eclipse, IDE for Enterprise Java and Web Developer. So this is what you'll be needing. Most of the integrations like Maven and other things are going to be inbuilt with this particular version, which you need not to separately download and install it. So this is what you will be needing it. In case you are using JDK 1.8, then the latest one is not going to work for you. You need to use 2021-06. You need to click on this, and from here, you need to download this, right? In case you're using Java 11, then this is going to work for you. So from here, you can download it for Mac, for Linux, for Windows. Just simply click on it. It is going to download a zip file. If you see on the status bar down here, if I'm doing a mouse over on this, it is showing you a zip file. So there is no installable file over here. You're going to get a zip file. So once you download it, you get a zip file, something like this. If I go to D drive softwares, I've already unzipped it. So you're going to get a zip file, you unzip it, you're going to get a folder like this. If you open this folder, you'll see another folder of Eclipse. Open this, you see all these files. Nothing installable over here. You get this application file, double click on it, it's going to launch Eclipse. That's it. Very simple configuration. And once Eclipse is launched, it will show you a screen where it asks you to select a directory as workspace, or you can create a new workspace. Workspace is basically a location where you'll be maintaining your project code. So any piece of code you're going to write will be stored at some location. And next time when you want to retrieve that code, you need to give that location over here. That is what your workspace is. So I generally give the workspace name as a batch name. So I'm going to name this batch as batch Feb 2023 and click on launch. So in some time, you should be able to see Eclipse launching. Let's wait. It's a little bit slow on my machine.
Rahul, in the meantime, the Eclipse 2021, when you have a JDK 11, then you will choose that one, right?
Yeah, this is going to work with JDK 11 as well as the JDK 1.8 as well. Right, but I would recommend download Java 11 because I've seen latest Jenkins is not supporting Java 8 anymore. So Selenium, everything works fine till the time you're practicing Selenium, Java. You can use 11 as well as, you can even use 1.8. But don't use the latest one. I guess latest one is, I guess, 18, 19. Don't use that version. You're gonna face little difficulty in integrating other components. So this is a welcome screen. Just close it, and this is your Eclipse. Here you'll be creating your project hierarchy. Here you'll be writing your code. Here you're gonna see the output of that. We're gonna talk about more Eclipse features once we proceed with the course. For right now, let's say we are going to understand what exactly is an API. And I started working as a Java developer. And I need to create a website for Citibank or a project for Citibank where I can add money, open account. I need to create these functionalities. So in order to do this, what I'll do, I'll be creating a new project. I'm going to click on create a project. And here I'll be selecting Java project. Click on next. And here I need to give the project name. It could be any name. I'll name it as banking project, or maybe I'm going to name it as Citibank project, Citibank project. You can see by default, it is selecting Java 16. I need to change it to Java 1.8. And then I'm going to click on finish and click on open. So this is a Citibank project created. Let me expand it. You'll see JRE system library and SRC. These two things by default added. SRC is a folder where we'll be creating classes, where we'll be adding code, right? And this JRE system library are the predefined Java classes. If you expand it, this is a Java internal library. So many classes we have to use from Java, like string classes, like n number of classes are there, integer, and n number of things are there. For that, you need not to do any extra importing. Like if you know, any language like C, C++, if you write any code, initially you need to add some header statement, include conio.h, include studio.h, n number of things, n number of libraries you have to add. Similarly, if you work with Java, you need to add basic import statement. For basic Java as well, you need to add import java.math.random library and then java.util package. And number of packages are there for internal Java library as well. And then we'll be adding some other libraries like Selenium, like Rest Assured. Then we need to add all those packages over here. Right? But if you're using Eclipse, you need not to add anything which is required for basic Java. That is already added over here. Eclipse has by default added it over here. You just need to focus on creating your own classes. So I'll be creating a class called as Citibank because I'm going to create a banking project. So a class with the name as Citibank. And I'm going to check this public static void main. If I click on finish, we're going to see a code showing up over here. Let me increase the font size. So now so many things shown over here. Some in reddish color, some in black color, right? These are comments. I can remove it. All these reddish color are predefined keywords. There's something called as public, private, protracted, right? What are these things? These things are called as access modifiers, access specifiers, something called as static, non-static, void, string, int, return type, right? You need not to worry about what are these things right now, because for every of these things, we have a detailed lecture in Core Java. So we'll be studying about access modifiers, we'll be studying about static, non-static, we'll be studying about return type. This thing is called as a method. This thing is called as a class. This is a body of a class. A class contains n number of methods. By default method in Java is a main method. Anything that you need to execute in Java should be present inside the main method, the basic core Java, if we talk about. So very first program, let's say if I talk about C, how to print in C? Can anyone tell me how to print in C?
We write the statement dot out dot println and what
for C, I'm talking about C.
printf.
Yeah, C++.
C in C out.
Yeah, correct. And core Java?
System.out.println.
System out println, right? So we'll simply say system dot out. See, when I'm adding a dot, it is giving me all the suggestions, right? So I need not to remember all the things. So even if I make any mistake, it will give me all the suggestions. So this is what system.out.println. This is an inbuilt library, inbuilt class or method inside Java, right? And then we need not to add anything to call these classes. We have not added any import statement, nothing added. And simply anything that we need to print, like the very first program of any programming language to print is hello world. We just put it inside a double quote and we'll click on the run button. This is the run button. As soon as you click on the run, you're going to see hello world printed, right? This is how you run the very first basic program of Java. But we are not here to print hello world. We are here to implement this Citibank because we're working as a Java developer and we need to create this project. So here I need to create some method where I can open account. Now, first thing, whenever we are creating a class name or a method name, we need to follow some coding standards. A class name should always start with a capital letter. And if you're creating a function or a method, it should always start with a small letter. There is something called as camel casing, which everyone follows in the industry. This is very much required to read the code which is written by someone else, so that you should be able to understand, okay, this is a class, this is a method, this is an interface, right? What camel casing says, class name, let's say if there is something called as, there is a 3-letter word, the dark night. If I read it as it is, this is not very readable. To make it readable, let's say I want to create it as a class name. So I'm going to start it with a capital letter. And anything joining must be in caps. Same thing if I have to create it as a method name, it should start with a small letter. Anything joining must be in caps. See, this is what in a form of camel. See, camel casing. That is why we call it as a camel casing. Right? So this is class name, this is method name. If you see core Java, they have created the method name with a small letter. See, if you see string, what is string in Java? If you mouse over, see string class. So they have created class name with a capital letter. Even Java is following the same camel casing, right? So next time if you read anyone else's project, should be able to understand, okay, this is a class, this is a method. So when we started creating Citibank class, so city, C is in capital, bank is another word, another letter. We have created it in caps. Same way, open account, 2 words, starting with small letter, and any concatenation will be with caps, right? So now we have created a method open account and we need to write some code in order to open account. But right now we are not good in programming. So what should we do? We should print something. Let's say opening account. So it means whenever you call this method, it is going to print opening account, right? Same way, I'm going to create another functionalities. Let's say we have a functionality for check balance. So I can say checking balance. We'll say withdraw money. Withdrawing money. Right? And then add money. Add money. And then I'm going to create add money. So let's say I've completed this Citibank project. I've added all the functionalities and this is now ready for the market. And now what I want to do, I want to test these functionalities are working fine or not. So how will I test it? I'll go inside the main method and I need to call these methods. How to call these methods? For that, I need to create an object of this class, right? This is what we discussed over here. And this is a syntax of creating object. So I'm just going to copy it as it is, and I'll be pasting it over here. And let me remove these spaces. Right? Citibank, obj equal to new Citibank. And this is a correct statement. See, I'm not getting any error over here. Error in the sense, if I write Citibanks over here, or maybe Citibanks over here, then it will highlight this thing in a red color, right? Because now Eclipse is not able to understand what this Citibank says. If you mouse over onto it, Eclipse will gonna give you suggestion. And what suggestion? See, it is giving you Citibanks cannot be resolved to a type. So this thing is basically called as a type, right? The one that you're referring to, data type. So this is what a type is. So it is saying either create a class with the name Citibanks. But why do we want to create Citibanks as a class when we have a class named Citibank? So then it says change to Citibank. Click on this and it will automatically be changed. And second thing is just a variable. You can write anything over here, right? ABC, XYZ. We generally give it a meaningful name. We can call it as city, right? Citibank, city, or CB, any short form you can give it over here. Or even if you write OBJ, then also it's good, right? And then equal to new Citibank. And now when you say CB dot, you should be able to access all the methods from this class. What all methods we have created? Add money, check balance, right? Open account. So if you click on open account, and now if you click on the run button, whatever you've written inside open account will be executed. See opening account. Same way, you'll call cb.add money, cb.withdraw money, cb.check balance. And when you run it, you're going to see all the functionalities will be executed absolutely fine. Every variable must have some type in Java. See, all the functionality is executed. Now there is one more method which is having a same name as of the class name. What we call it as? What do you call this method which is having a same name as of the class name?
Constructor.
Constructor. Yeah. What are constructors?
When object is created, then constructor is automatically called.
Initialize the object.
Initialize the object. Initialize variables. Guys, please put yourself on mute. Okay, so constructor is like a method only. It has got a same name as of the class name, right? If I'm calling it as a method, I can write some code over here as well. A code something like, I can say, okay, let's say calling constructor, right? Or maybe I can even write, welcome to the bank. Right? Before you open account, before you create account, maybe I want to give a message, welcome to the bank. So how should I call it? Shall I say cb.citibank? I'm not getting it. I'm not getting this method. Why I'm not getting this method? This method.
Because that's public.
Sorry?
It by default called. When an object
right?
is created.
You'll not be able to find this over here because this is not a method. This is a constructor. A constructor is automatically called whenever you create an object of a class, right? The very first thing that is called is a constructor. It has got a same name as of the class name. Even if I don't write this, just write this particular statement and click on run. The very first thing that will be called is the constructor, right? So now as we were discussing about this statement, we were discussing about what is an object. We said whenever an object is created, the very first thing that is called is a constructor. And many people were saying this is an object. Many people were saying this is an object. Let's assume this CV is an object. And I am going to remove these things. Still, it is a valid statement. We are not getting any errors over here. So if this is an object, and if I hit the run button, tell me whether the constructor will be called or not.
No, it doesn't.
No?
No.
So if the constructor is not called, it means this is not an object. See, if I click on this, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one thing. Some people are saying this is an object. See, still a valid statement. Now, if I run this, will the constructor be called or not?
Yeah, it calls.
Yes.
Yes.
Will be called?
Yeah.
Okay, let's run this. See, constructor is called. So it means this is where the object is created. Because as soon as an object is created, a constructor is called. So if object is created by saying new Citibank, then why OBJ or CB that is required? Why we need that? We can just write this. What is a need of this? Why we need this? Why don't we just write this? What is that variable required? Why is that variable required? CB.
For referring it.
It should hold the value of the...
For accessing non-static methods.
For accessing non-static methods. For accessing, for calling add money, withdraw money, right? If we want to call any method from this class, we need that CB, right? We need that OBJ. Without that, we cannot call add money. Or can we call add money without that CB?
No.
No.
We cannot, right? We can still call it. See. New Citibank dot add money. If I run this, we're going to see add money is called. Right? I can still call the methods using this object. I don't need that CB. But what if I want to call withdraw money now? How will I call it?
Again, do the same thing.
Again, I need to write
dot withdraw money.
Dot check balance, this dot open account, this dot withdraw money. So what will happen if I run this? Constructor is called 4 times. It means there are 4 objects created in order to call 4 methods. And if we want to call 100 functionalities, are we going to create 100 different objects?
No.
So that is the reason what we do, wherever the object is created, we just store its reference into some variable. Call it as OBJ. Call it as anything. CB, right? And every variable has got some type. Right? Any value that you are storing in some variable, that variable must have some type. Type like if I'm storing a value like 100 in some variable value equal to 100. What is the type of this variable? What variable type value should?
Integer. Int.
Correct. Integer, right? What if I want to store my name? Can I store it over here like this? It will not work.
String.
Because every value should have its own type, right? If the value is string, the type should be string. If the value is integer, the type should be int. If the value is numeric, right? So if we talk about this int, this string, what are these things? What are these things called? What we call string as?
Data type.
Data type. Anything else apart from data type? We just discussed.
Class name. Right.
String is also a class. See, this is also a class. So if string is a class, then string must be holding some methods. And if you want to access methods from string class, you just need to say value dot, and you can see all the methods inside the string class. Right? Now, similar to this, Now you are holding this value in this variable. And what type of value this is? Is it a string value? Is it an int value? Or is it the value of this class type? So this type will always be of this class. Right? And that is the reason why we call it as a type. Because in case you are holding integer values, the type will be int. If you are holding some characters, the type will be string. Now, if you are holding the object, the reference should have the type of the same class. And now, if you use this reference and put a dot, you can see all the methods from this class, Citibank, check balance. And against these methods, you are getting the same class name. Right? So you can call now this one by one, CB dot add money, CB dot withdraw money, CB dot, and what all methods we have? We have open account and CB dot withdraw money we have used, open account we have used, check balance. So these are the 4 methods that we have created. Now, if we run this, you're going to see constructor is called only once. And all the methods are referred from the same object reference. So these are the very basic concepts, how we create a class, how we call methods, right? Although we are going to study all these things from scratch. So for the people who are joining the very first session, don't take it as it's very tough. The coding is very tough. Don't worry about it. All these things will be studied, will be covered from basics, right? And once you are done with core Java, you'll be very much confident in these stuff. Right, but these are basic. These are very much required. Now, let's say I've created this Citibank project, and now I want to publish this project in the market because I want that everyone should take a benefit of it. Does default constructor runs every time when we call a parameterized constructor? Yes. Default constructor runs every time. Right? But let's not get into the depth of constructor right now because other people may gonna get confused. So the people who have recently joined and don't know anything about constructor, just think it as a method for the timing. And this is the very first thing that is called as soon as you create an object of a class, right? And then there are some parameters and number of things added to the constructor, right? Default constructor is there, parameterized constructor is there. So we'll be studying all these things once we reach to the core Java concepts, right? Now, let's say I want to publish this project in the market because I want that Citibank is a very popular bank, right? And his application should be used by everyone in the world, right? Not only in a particular country. Citibank is there across the globe. So even in the US, UK, Canada, India, right? They have their branches. So what I want to launch it as an official project, and I want everyone should be freely able to access this project. So I want to launch it as an open source project. Open source does not only means that I can access the project functionality free of cost. Open source means that anyone from the world can also contribute into the development of this project as well. So if let's say someone comes in and he's very good in coding and he is showing his interest in his project and he wants to enhance this project and maybe want to add some more functionality related to he want to create some method for adding some interest, right? Some quarterly interest, some more functionality for creating a recurring deposit, creating a fixed deposit, then he is most welcome. He can add these functionalities into this particular project. And if someone wants to use these functionalities, then he need not to pay anything. I've already created the complete banking project. You want to open account, check balance, withdraw money, any functionality you want to use, you need not to pay anything for using these functionalities. So I want to launch it as a free of cost project, as an open source project. So how are we going to launch it? In order to launch this project in the market, I'll just going to right click on this project. I'm going to click on export, click on Java, select the jar file, click on next. Jar means Java archive. And I'll be giving it some name. Let's say Citibank version 1.0. This is the very first version of my project, .jar. And I'll be storing it somewhere on my desktop. Now, don't link it with any web application or any desktop application for the timing. This is just a project. You can install it on your desktop as well. Or if you integrate it with a web file, then you can access it with a website as well, in a form of a website as well. But right now, this is just a project which you can access it from your desktop as well, right? So this is a jar file. Click on finish. And now if you go back to your desktop, you're going to see this jar file. This application is created. Now it's nothing like if I double click on it, it is going to install a banking system on my machine. It is not going to install any Citibank application on my machine, right? With this jar file, you'll only be able to access what all classes are there in this project and what all methods are there in this project. But again, you'll not be able to see what is written inside this open account, what is written inside check balance. Maybe there is a 500 lines of code written over here. You'll not be able to see it till the time developer won't allow you. Normally, in an open source project, people give away their code as well. Because open source means anyone can contribute into the development of this project as well. And still, if anyone wants to access these functionality, can access it free of cost. Now, I want this to be accessed from any part of the world. So what I'll do, I'll upload this jar file on my website. I'll upload this project on my website. I want anyone can access this project. So because website can be accessed from any part of the world. So now anyone wants to access the functionality for opening account, for withdrawing, for anything related to that, can go to my website and download this jar file and can consume that functionality. And he has nothing to do with any license part. It's an open source. He need not to pay anything. Right. Now, let's say if I was working with Citibank, now I have left Citibank. Right. I have left this organization. I left the job over here and this project is closed now. Now I joined another company. Let's say I joined another bank. I joined American Express. And they were having some banking domain as well. And they were already having some banking project built up in Java itself. Let's assume. So there was already a project, a Java project itself called as MX project. In this project, they have their own banking class. Let's say I'll call it as banking. Right. In this class, they have their own functionalities for calculating profit, calculating loss. Right. And I was hired in between of this project. And there was some main method as well. Let's add a main method. Now, they asked me to implement a functionality. These functionalities are already built, right? When I joined this project, there were so many functionalities already built. I was hired in between of this project. And they asked me to implement a functionality which could add money to their account, right? So some functionality similar to add money, which I have created in my previous organization in Citibank project, I have to implement that functionality over here as well. Now, there are two things I can do. I can start writing the code over here. There are 500 lines of code with a very complex logic. I can start writing it over here. And I can do it because I've written in that project. So it may going to take me some time or maybe some days, depending on the complexity of the code. But I should be able to write it. So this is one process. I may end up taking 5 days to complete this functionalities. Or the second way is, why should I rewrite it? I've already created in my previous company's project, and that is an open source project. I can easily access that functionality over here without paying any license to the previous company. So how to do that? I'll go to their website and I'll download the jar file which they have uploaded to their website. And once I got this jar file, I just need to import this jar file in my project. How to do that? Right click, build path, add external archives, and select this jar file. And it is added as a reference library. And now if you expand this, you should be able to see Citibank class and see all the methods available for you, which you can consume in this project without paying any license. But how are you going to call these methods? Let's say you want to implement add money. How are you going to call it over here? By creating an object of Citibank class. If you want to call any method, you'd simply create an object of that class. So Citibank CB equal to new Citibank. And see, it worked fine. So banking, American Express is able to understand what Citibank is with the help of this jar file. If the jar file is not there, if I remove it, then it is not able to understand what Citibank is, because Citibank is a part of a different organization. In case you want to access the functionality of that organization, then you need that particular jar file, which you have downloaded from their website. And then you should be able to make it work. Then Eclipse is able to understand what Citibank is. And now, if you need to implement add money, you need to call the method from Citibank class. How you call it? Simply say cb.addmoney. That's it. Without writing 500 lines of code, you have implemented that functionality. And now, if you want to call the add money from this banking class, how you do it? Simply create an object of banking class by saying banking b equal to new banking. See, whenever we need to create an object, whenever we need to call a method, we need to create an object, right? And when we call the method, we simply say reference dot object reference dot the method name b.addMoney. And when you run it, you will see same functionality is executed without rewriting the code. See, welcome to the bank, add money. We have not written that code over here. We have accessed that code from the previous company's jar file. And if we talk about this jar file, this is what an API is. This is an API to American Express project. And when we are talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same thing. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jar files. Selenium is a collection of library, the jar file, collection of jar files. Now what jar file holds? Jar file holds classes, functionalities, which are already written by some developer. Right? The complete project is already written. You just need to call those classes, call those methods, and automate your website. That's it. You need not to do any installation. Just call the Selenium jar, add it in your project. In the same project, you can use Selenium. You just need to get the jar file. Now, where you're going to get the jar file? Which is the main website of Selenium? Can anyone tell me?
Selenium.dev.
Selenium.dev, correct. And what is the current version of Selenium?
4.8.
4.8.2.
4.7.2.
Okay.
4.8.1.
Okay, let us check it. See, very first thing about Selenium. Selenium automates browser, that's it. Selenium is only for browser-based testing, right? And if you go to download, you'll see the latest stable version is 4.8.1. So there are so many components in Selenium, which we're going to discuss about. But let us see what happens if I click on this. See, it is downloading some jar file for me. And this jar file is just 29 MB. That's it. If we talk about software like QTP, UFT, you're going to see the installation may gonna take more than 1 GB, 2 GB disk space. It's a huge setup. But for Selenium, it's just a 20, 30 MB jar file. And now once it is downloaded, what you need to do, you just need to add this in Eclipse. In any of your Java project, just right click over here, go to build path, click on add external archives, and where it is downloaded, this is the jar file, click on open, and that's it. Selenium jar is added. Now you can use this jar file, automate any project in the world you want. But how to do it? For that, we need to call the class, like we call the class over here, Citibank. Same way, I'll just comment out this. And maybe I want to launch a browser because Selenium is for browser-based testing, right? So we can launch Firefox, we can launch Edge, we can launch Chrome. Any browser on your desktop, you can launch it. Let's say I want to launch Chrome browser. So what I'll do, I'll create an object of Chrome. Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. This is the very first statement you will be writing. See, no errors. And what happens if you click on run? Let's see. You can see a Chrome browser launched. Just by creating an object of this Chrome driver class, which is available inside this library, what it did, it launches the browser, right? When I click on the run button, what happens? It launches the browser. No any additional installation is required. So, but where is the code written for launching the browser? I mean, some developer might have written some huge code for launching this browser from the desktop, right? But where is that code written? Can anyone tell me where that code is written?
In the constructor.
In the constructor?
Yeah.
Okay. How about others? Where is that code written?
In jar file.
In jar file. That code is there inside this jar file. Like we called add money method, that was there inside Citibank jar file. Now we launched the browser, that code must be written inside this jar file. Now where inside this jar file? What jar file contains?
Inside the class and
inside the class, right? So we have this class, we have Citibank class inside Citibank jar file, we have Chrome driver class inside Selenium jar file. But where inside this class the code is written? What do we have inside a class?
Constructor.
Constructor, we have methods, we have data types, we have variables, right? But where the code for launching browser is written? Is it written inside some method?
In constructor.
In Chrome driver class.
In Chrome driver class, where inside the class? It is not inside any method, it is inside a constructor. See, we have not called any method. Even if we don't write this, as soon as we create an object of a class, very first thing that is called is a constructor of that class. So if you just simply run this, you're going to see it is going to launch a browser just by creating an object of a class. So the code for launching the browser is written inside the constructor. Now, how many lines of code that is written? What is the complexity of that code? Why are we worrying about it? We are not developing Selenium, right? We are working as a tester, as an automation tester. We just need to understand the basic programming concept so that we can call the classes from this particular library. We are not developing Selenium. We need not to know in depth of that programming in order to develop some functionality. We're not developing anything. We just need to consume them. So we just need to know the syntax, how to create an object of a class, and how to call the method. Now, after launching a browser, I may need to navigate to a website. So I'll simply say driver.get, and I'll be visiting my website, http://waytoautomation.com. That's it. Because whenever you call this get method, it will ask you, see, when you call this get method, it will ask you to provide a URL in a string format. String means double quotes. So you provide that. And if you run this again, you're going to see it is going to launch a browser, and then it's now going to navigate to waytoautomation.com. And now maybe I want to perform some testing. I want to get the title of this page. So how to get the title of the page? Simply put, driver dot should be able to access all the methods from this class. And one of the method you want to get title, and the methods are all straightforward. See, get title. That's it. Driver dot get title. It is going to get the title, but it is not going to print the title because printing task is not of Selenium. It is of Java. How you print in Java? You do system out println. So you put this thing inside system out println. And if you run this again, it's going to launch a browser, going to navigate to waytoautomation.com and see it has printed the title over here. And after that, you may want to close the browser. Simply say driver.close or driver.quit. What is the difference in close or quit? See, there are two methods. One is driver.close and one is driver.quit. Close is going to close the browser. Quit is also going to close the browser. Then what is the difference in close or quit?
Close closes the current window.
The current browser, the current window. And if there are multiple windows open, tab windows or pop-up window, quit is going to close all the windows open in the current session. But close is only going to close the current window. If there are tabs, pop-ups open, it is not going to close them. So any window where your current focus is, if you want to close that window, use driver.close. Or if you use driver.quit, then all the related windows in the current session will automatically be closed. See, and this is your title printed, right? That is how you'll be working with Selenium. See, no big configuration is required. Just you need to have Java installed, Eclipse installed, and this jar file. And you need to know the basic programming concepts. So you just need to create an object of the class, call the method one by one, and access this library. So this is what an API is. A project which is already developed by some organization, and now we are consuming that project in our own Java project. Similar to this, if we talk about REST assured, that is also an API. So there is a standard website called as MVN repositories. All the major projects, they check in their jar files over here. So if you talk about REST assured, you're going to see REST assured for REST services. Click on this, use the latest version, and click on this bundle. You'll see a REST assured jar file downloaded. Now what to do? You just right click over here, go to build path, add archives, add the REST assured jar. Now this jar file must have some classes. You can add those classes over here and automate your APIs as well. So you can integrate UI and API automation in one single project. Now you want to do some mobile automation as well. So simply search for APM. And download APM is searched by writing Java client. So Java client for APM mobile WebDriver. So this is the one, the latest one. Simply click on the jar. You got the jar file. Go over here, right click, build path, add external archives, and add the APM jar file. Now you can automate these things on your real Android devices and iPhone devices as well. You want to integrate database, SQL, MySQL, MongoDB, just type MySQL. You get MySQL connector. Download this, get the jar file. You got the jar file and just right click, build path, add external archives, and add it. And now you can connect to the database and perform the database testing. So maybe some values are showing up on the UI. You want to validate those values with the SQL, MySQL. So you'll be firing some SQL queries, some inner join, some subqueries, and then you'll be fetching the data from the database, and then you'll be validating it from the website. But you're not going to do that thing manually. You'll be writing some code over here using this jar file, integrate with Selenium, get the data from the database, validate it from the website. So these are the things that we are going to practically see in these sessions. But now you can see we can automate all these applications in one single project with the help of these jar files. This is because Selenium is not a tool. It has got no boundaries. If we talk about a tool like automation tool, UFT, QTP, RFT, these all are tools. These have got some boundaries, some limitations, some limited features. A QTP, UFT might have some 200 functionalities. So you can perform automation using those 200 functionalities only. And at times, if there is a functionality not available, then you cannot automate that particular functionality. And you say 100% cannot be automated. This is because your tool is not supporting that functionalities. At times, they have add-ons to support that functionality, but then you need to buy those add-ons. So they're upselling those add-ons to the organizations. But add-ons are also developed by developers. At times, add-ons are there, at times, add-ons are not there. So if add-ons are not there, you cannot automate that functionalities. But this is not the thing with Selenium. Because Selenium, anything that is supported in Java can be integrated with Selenium. And Java is quite huge, quite wide. Anything that you can imagine in Java, you can integrate that thing with Selenium. That is one of the best things why companies are using Selenium. Because anything that can be integrated to your automation project. You want to do some Excel reading, you want to generate some HTML report. These are not part of Selenium, but can be easily integrated in your automation project. So that's what the benefit of using Selenium. Now, how many components are there in Selenium? Can anyone tell me how many components are there in Selenium?
4.
What are those?
Selenium WebDriver.
WebDriver.
IDE.
IDE.
Grid.
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 And which is the fourth one?
Selenium Server Standalone.
Selenium RC.
Standalone server.
Yes,
RC. So RC was the older version. I mean, it was there in Selenium 1.0, right? So there are basically Selenium 1.0 when it was started, then 2.0, then 3.0, and now 4.0 is there in the market. So these are all different versions and contains different architecture of Selenium. The latest one is this, and the build number is 8.1. So when it was started in 2006 by one of the developer. Which company came up with Selenium? Like QTP, if we talk about QTP, a very popular tool. Which company came up with QTP?
Mercury.
Right, Mercury. And then later on, HP has acquired QTP. And now it has changed the name from QTP to UFT. Same way, Selenium. Which company came up with Selenium? ThoughtWorks, exactly. So ThoughtWorks is the one who started this project, ThoughtWorks. Right? And there's a developer behind the same is Jason Huggins. So when he started this project, he tried to create a small automation project, but that project went up to such an extent, they thought of giving it some name and they came up with a name called as Selenium. Now, why only Selenium? So there's a history behind this name as well. So as we talk about QTP, it is a project of Mercury. If we talk about Mercury in general terms, I believe everyone have seen Mercury, not the planet, but
Yes.
in thermometers, right? So there is a saying: if you break the thermometer and if you intake that mercury, then you may gonna die, right? Because it's a poisonous element. So if we talk about Selenium, Selenium is basically an antidote to Mercury, so that the person may survive if we give him an antidote, right? So that is the reason they have given this project name as Selenium, so to end the market of QTP Mercury. And up to such an extent, they are successful as well, not just because of the cost, and number of factors behind it, right? So you can integrate anything that is supported, not only in Java, in Python, in C#. So the biggest thing about Selenium, it has got a multi-language support. Multi-language, you can, if you are coming from a Java background, you can use Selenium with Java. You're coming from a Python background, you can use Selenium with Python, you can use it with C#, you can use it with Ruby, you can use it with JavaScript, you can use it with PHP. It has got a multi-browser support as well. So all major browsers like IE, Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, all major browsers are supported. And not only this, it has got a multi-OS platform support. Right? If we talk about QTP, where you can install QTP, you can install QTP only and only on Windows. Why? Because the language that QTP supports is VB-script, and VB-script only runs on Windows. Whereas if we talk about current market, our client can use any operating system. He could use any browser, right? He wants that his project should be fully tested on multiple machines like Linux, like Mac, like Solaris, like iOS, like Android, like Windows, any operating system he can use. He wants that his website should be fully tested on all these platforms, should be working fine. So if we are using Selenium with Java, Selenium is not supporting multiple platforms. Java is supporting multiple platforms. When you install Java, very first message, you're going to see 3 billion devices runs on Java. So be it Linux, Mac, Solaris, Android, any operating system you name is supported by Java. And when you're running your Selenium code in Java, you can execute that code in any operating system without paying any license. So this is one of the best things with Selenium. Right. And later on, so many companies, they got into the development of functionalities of Selenium. They integrated WebDrive. We're going to study about the brief history of Selenium as well. Then there is a guy named as Simon Stewart. So he is the one who started WebDriver, which is integrated with Selenium 2.0 version. And he used to work as a lead developer with Google. So Google has a very major role in developing so many functionalities of WebDriver. And Google itself is using WebDriver in their UI automation projects, right? Not only Google, Adobe, Facebook, and number of big organizations have contributed into the development of this project. That is the reason why this project is very, very successful in automation, right? And everywhere, not only in India, US, UK, everywhere around the world, you're going to find openings in automation related to Selenium. But yes, Selenium is a start of your career. It's not the only thing that you should be learning. Down the path, you'll be integrating API automation, you'll be integrating mobile automation using APM, and plus you should have fair amount of understanding of all major DevOps tools. That is Jenkins, CI/CD, Maven, Git, GitHub, then AWS cloud integration, Azure cloud integration, right? All these things should be clear to you as an automation test engineer. Right, so the roadmap is quite wide, and even the salary packages are as very attractive as compared to development. Automation test engineers are getting the same level of packages as the developers are getting. Right, so the roadmap is quite good for automation. Right, so I guess we are almost out of the time. So what we're going to do, we'll be starting with this batch from next weekend. And like people who are joining new will be moving to the core Java batch, and people who have completed the core Java will gonna receive another meeting invite for the Selenium batch, right? And I'll be sharing these details from like in coming week itself. So I'll be creating a new WhatsApp group for core Java part. Right, and there are some people who have joined today as a demo session as well. So in case you guys want to enroll yourself, then you need to visit the website waytoautomation.com and click on this lifetime membership, which is a very unique concept, and you can enroll yourself simply by clicking over here. You should be able to access the complete video library of 30 plus automation courses. You'll be included in all the live batches, WhatsApp groups. You can attend different trainings without paying anything. I mean, you can join DevOps batch, JMeter. We are also going to start next month, and API automation is starting next month. So all these batches, we recently started Playwright with Python, Selenium with Python in the morning timings. We are running a manual with database testing batch as well in the morning timings. So these are the batch. You can attend them in parallel as well. And the best thing is you need not to pay anything for any upcoming batch. So for the lifetime, you can attend all these trainings for free. Right? Can we integrate JMeter scripts also in the same framework? Yes, JMeter has got its own API as well, which is developed in Java. So if you are well versed with that API, then you can integrate those things with Selenium as well.
The Selenium class is 2 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, or just
all the batches are on weekends, because majorly people who are joining these courses are 90% from working background, from mostly from testing background.
I mean to say like it is both the days, Saturday, Sunday.
Both Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And during the weekdays, you can access the complete video library. All the courses, live training recordings from previous batches are already there in this library. So you can go through the entire batch as well. You can try finishing it up on your own as well during the weekdays, right? And in case you get stuck anywhere, you can post your queries in the WhatsApp group. You can get in touch with me over the emails, over the phone calls as well. Can we download WinApp driver from MVN repository? Yes, you can download WinApp driver as well. And through WinApp driver, you can launch Notepad and can automate the Notepad as well. There are examples given for WinApp driver. If you go to YouTube and search for WinApp driver example, you should be able to see step by steps how you can launch a Notepad and perform testing on that. So these things can also be integrated. Can we do core Java and Selenium together? Not at this moment, because both the batches are going to run at the same time. In case you have a little bit understanding of core Java, then I would recommend if you want to learn Selenium fast, then try joining Seleniums in the live session and try following these lectures during the weekdays for core Java. So if you can finish it up like within a week, then you can be a part of Selenium batch. So this is what you can do. And anyways, you have a lifetime access. So next batch, you want to again repeat the core Java part or the Selenium part, you can do that. Right.
Rahul, so we will be getting a link to register for Selenium batch, right?
Yes, I'll be sending out the details on your email ID. So
okay, thank you.
Meeting invites, WhatsApp group, everything I'll be sending during the next week.
So next week onwards, Zoom link will be different for core Java batch?
For core Java as well as for Selenium.
Okay, fine. So the Java installing we have to do prior to the class or during the class?
I mean, it will be covered in the Java session as well. But yes, whatever that we have studied today, if you want to practice, just try doing it on your own so that you should have some hands-on.
Okay.
So, Rahul, good evening. So is it, I thought the course was, or the training session would be Java plus Selenium plus Java. But
it is Selenium plus Java only. First, you'll be taught complete core Java, and then Selenium will be covered. So next week, starting next week, you'll be joining the Java lectures if you have recently joined.
Okay. So Java for how long? And then
Java, at least 6 weekends will be Java.
And then when will you start Selenium?
Once the Java is over, the next weekend itself will be starting with Selenium.
Oh, okay. So 6 weekends, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But we can get Selenium also at the same time, right? I mean, we can't do it at the same
Yeah,
time.
in case you want to skip Java sessions and want to attend Selenium, then you can do that. But for that, you need to be good in Java in order to understand Selenium concepts. So the alternate is you can go through the recordings of the Java and attend Selenium in live batch, or else first complete Java and then come to the Selenium part.
Okay, because we have some understanding of Java. So because you're going to be using Java anyway in Selenium, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. So yes, guys, this is all we have to cover in the demo. I hope you have not got bored and you have enjoyed today's session.
Yes, Rahul. Yeah, it was really informative and really thoroughly we enjoyed the session from the beginning to end. It was really good. I have one question, Rahul. Can I ask one question? When you reference the Citibank clause in the banking, and in order to use add money function, you created the method, right? Object in the there, right? Citibank, CB, new Citibank, right? Whereas when we call the driver, we are calling it in the main method, right? So what is the difference? Why do we do that so?
See, methods are called in the main. Otherwise, you can create an object over here as well. This is
okay.
like you're publicly creating it and then you're access. But whenever you need to call a method, you cannot call it outside the main method. It has to be inside any method only.
Okay. So, but if I want to even declare that object, basically create that Chrome driver in the main body of the class, I can do that. Yeah, okay. But still it has to be called in the main method, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So,
yes, sure.
So when you have at last, Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. In this, you have asked that where is the code behind this? So that question is still going in my mind, that where is actually the code is.
The code is inside this Chrome driver constructor. So you should be able to see the code as well, but not right now, because if I click on this, it might not going to take you to the coding part. But if I because right now we just added one jar, but normally when we're going to get started, we'll be integrating some build tool, some dependency management tool called as Maven. So if you use Maven and then you use this particular class, you should be able to see the coding as well. Let me show it to you from the previous batch where we have used that project. So you just need to mouse over on Chrome and then click on this Chrome driver. Should be able to see classes, code, everything. Let me show it to you. See, this is Chrome driver. So if you let it load completely. So if I click on this, see, this is where all the methods, the complete coding part, the implementation is given. So a lot of classes are there, not just this, there are so many classes. So one by one, once you get comfortable to these things, then you can start exploring this library as well and see what is written inside this WebDriver interface, this class. You can try exploring these classes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but as a tester, your task is just to call the methods. That's it.
Yeah, but still, I should know, or we should know now.
Absolutely.
Rahul.
Yeah.
Rahul, will you add actually this today recording session?
Yeah, I'll be uploading this recording very soon, and I'll be sharing it to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Rahul, one question. Rahul, if we have created the object of Citibank in the class, can we call the method of it in main?
Yes. And yes, we have. Okay, you are saying you have created this over here, and you want to call the method over here.
Yes.
For that, you need to make it like you actually need to create an object like this. So Citibank CB either create it like public or public static, right? And then you can call it anywhere you want. So then even you say new CB equal to new Citibank, and then you call it like this, and say CB dot, and then you should be able to call it like this. But that object has to be created over here. Otherwise, you should be able to call it inside the other methods. But again, in order to access these methods, this has to be called in the main method.
Okay.
And Rahul, these Selenium versions will be inconsistent among different languages.
Yes, for Python, I mean, like if something is updated in Java, the same thing is updated in Python as well.
At the same time, or there can be a gap?
It could be, I guess, I mean, they are very frequent in updating these projects. So you'll find the same functionality. Like recently, they have introduced something called a Selenium Manager library, due to which you need not to include any browser executable. If you have previously worked on Selenium, you might be knowing something called as Gecko driver, Chrome driver. You can see now we are not adding anything prior to this statement, any browser executable. So same thing is implemented in Java, and same time it is implemented in Python and other languages as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rahul, when
So
we are
who
calling,
makes sure about these things to make all this?
There's a community. I mean, if you go over here, you should be able to see what all updates which are happening. If you like every development project, there are release build life cycles. So if you go over here, should be able to see the change logs from here itself. So see, this is for Selenium. If you go down, see, these are all the libraries, different languages available, and these are the change logs. So if you click on the change log, you should be able to see when they are updated. So all the things you should be, what they are updating and what code they are checking in. So some information might be relevant for you as a test engineer, some might not be. But yes, you should be able to see what all things they are committing, the support of latest browser, and then deprecating some classes, removing some functionality.
So these change logs are language specific, or?
These are language specific only, right?
Okay.
So for every language, there's a different change log available. See.
Okay.
And you can see Python is updated February 18.
Python is ahead of other languages.
Yeah.
I can see here.
So all these change logs for different languages available.
Okay.
Rahul, in the code, when we're calling driver.getTitle, what is executing exactly?
Driver.get is basically a method inside. For the timing, you can assume it is inside this Chrome driver class. So we are calling the method get, and there might be some code written inside this get method, which is the task of that code is to navigate to the website. Like add money is one of the method inside the Citibank class. So what add money is doing, it is adding money. Similarly, get is a method inside Chrome driver class. And what get is doing, it is navigating to the website.
Okay, so get title means?
Get title means to get the title of the website. So title is this, like for this website, the title is this, the one that is showing up over here.
Okay.
Right. Similarly, one by one, you'll be calling the methods and you'll be automating the entire website.
Rahul, is it compulsory to write main method?
No, but when you're starting with basic Java, then execution has to be done inside main method only. But later on, once we start integrating other frameworks like TestNG, then you'll not be using the main method. We'll be learning TestNG in depth. So TestNG is required for creating these things, converting these things into test cases or test suites. Because see, right now, whatever we have executed, it is getting executed, but it is not telling you how many test cases are getting passed or fail. Are you getting any results over here that out of 3-4 test cases, 2 are failed and 2 are passed? It is not showing you that, right? Because it is not a task of Selenium to convert this code into test case. But this is what you need it from automation. If automation code is running for 4 hours, and if there are 1,000 test cases getting executed, at the end, you're not getting any results. The automation is done absolutely fine from starting till ending, but you're not getting any result. Like you have executed 1,000 test cases, 800 pass, 200 fail. Then what is the purpose of automation? So Selenium is not going to do that. For that, you need to integrate TestNG framework. Right? If we talk about the components of Selenium, this ID, RC, whatever that we have listed down over here, these are just 25% in your automation project. And rest are all major integrations, like we'll be doing Maven, we'll be doing TestNG, we'll be adding Log4j, POI API for Excel reading, writing, then JDBC for database connectivity. Then we have something for reporting, extent reports, TestNG reports, ReportNG reports. Then we'll be learning some major frameworks like data-driven, like keyword-driven, hybrid framework, right? We'll be learning page objects. So all these, if we talk about these things, page objects, Jenkins, these things are not a part of Selenium. Selenium has nothing to do with these things. But without these things, you cannot create an automation project. You cannot report, pass, fail, create a test suite. You have to use all these things. And we'll be studying all these things after learning Selenium. Selenium is just 25%. Major role is of core Java. So first, your core Java concepts should be clear. Right? Selenium is just a library to perform actions on the web page. What all actions you can perform? You can click, you can type, you can get the text, you can get the title, you can get the screenshot of a page, right? 10, 15 actions that you can do manually, same you are automating it. But for rest other things, you need to do all these integrations. So that's what I say. Selenium is very easy. In just 5 to 6 sessions after learning core Java, you can automate any website in the world by using Selenium, because Selenium is very easy. But once you start working on a live project where you have to create a framework from scratch, that is where all these integrations will gonna come into the picture. And for that, you should be very good in basic programming concepts. Right? Which Selenium recording to refer in weekdays? You can refer the recent batch recordings. So you're gonna get it from here. So the recent batch, this Jan batch, you can, Jan batch, not Jan batch, you can refer it. The October batch, in case you want to see the Selenium recordings as well. Right? Otherwise, the core Java sessions, you can watch it from here. All right. So that's all, guys, for today. And thank you all for your patience. We're going to meet like next weekend, same time, and I'll be sending out the meeting invites to every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, Isha, you have a query, you can ask.
Rahul, will you be taking the Selenium classes or someone else would be
No,
taking?
Selenium class I myself will be taking. Don't worry about it. Just the core Java, there is a separate instructor who will be covering the complete core Java concepts, and then the same concepts will be practically implementing in Selenium, and I myself is going to take the complete Selenium.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Atul. Study reference, yes, Isha, like study reference are this video library itself. You will have complete access to all the courses video library. You can watch them any time of the day you want. Right.
Hi, Rahul. Actually, I am having one doubt. So for Selenium, when I'm talking about the Selenium, we are having different APIs. Like when I'm talking about the Java, we are having a different Selenium API for Java, and having a different Selenium API for C++ and different Selenium, right? But when I'm talking about the Playwright, I am having a single API, whichever language I want to use. Means how the single API is worked on any of the programming.
For Playwright as well, you have a jar file that works with Java. Then you have a Python binding, like a pip file, which works with Python. So there as well, you have a different API.
Okay. In Playwright also we are having different APIs.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Except video, there are some PDF lectures as well, but majorly those are for Java, because in Selenium we have everything practical, right? So we don't have like theoretical theories written in PDF. So all the coding, the framework, you'll be getting everything. You can download this code and can integrate it to your Eclipse IDE, and then you can run it. All the framework code, everything will be provided.
Okay.
So have you made the WhatsApp group?
Yes, WhatsApp group for Selenium batch is already created, but for the new batch, which is starting next week, I'll be creating it, like the one who are going to get start with the Java part. For that, the WhatsApp group has to be created. I'll be creating it next week, and then I'll be sending it across to everyone.
So how to get the link of that particular
You'll
group?
be getting it on your mail ID, and I'll also be getting it in the lifetime membership group.
Sorry, please pardon.
In the lifetime membership group, in case you're enrolled, the initial email that you got has got a link of the lifetime membership. So lifetime membership Google group. So I'll be sending it out in that group as well. So your by default registered email IDs are already added in that group. So automatically you're going to receive the email. In case you don't receive any email, just check the spam folder as well, because at times it is sent to so many people. So it might go inside the spam folder. Just check the mails if you receive any mail from Way to Automation and it is there in the spam folder. Just check that folder as well. Right, and in any case, if you don't receive any email by any chance, then just ping me on WhatsApp by Thursday or Friday, and I'll directly send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Sure, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.